Over 40 years ago, Kim and I embarked on a ministry journey that has now become a global network through the power of the internet. As part of this pioneering work, we are gathering people from all over the world to worship together, grow in our faith, and inspire hope through an uplifting message. We are dedicated to reaching out with God's message of hope and love to all without discrimination or judgment. We invite you to join our House of Destiny free membership that allows you to connect with members from around the world. Through our prayer wall, you can post your requests and have others join us in prayer. It's so powerful when the saints gather and believe for a breakthrough. We invite you to join today. Simply click the online church login and sign up. Partnerships are vital to our global outreach, enabling us to take the love and hope of Jesus Christ to those who need it most. Our Boots on the Ground Partnership Program physically ministers to those in desperate situations all over the world. The Israel Partnership furthers Kim's legacy of outreach to Israel and Jewish people worldwide. We invite you to become a partner today. We are here for you, and we have worked hard to provide the resources and tools to help you grow in your faith. Join us today and be part of a community that inspires hope, brings restoration to life, and often healing from the past. Together, we can make a difference, and we thank you for your ongoing support.
Oh, that's nice. I'm sorry, I'm excited about the little code breakers thing they just put up there. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our live gathering. We are code breaking once again this week. As you can see, I've got all my things ready, and we're going to be digging in. I see there are, the number is rising on Rumble. You guys watching right now, that's so nice to see you. Hello, Rumble people. I do love Rumble because on Rumble you are free. You don't have to censor or be worried about that. Hello to YouTube, everybody on YouTube. Welcome. Welcome. I have a very special couple of guests today. A couple that is our guest. And many of you know them already. And last week we had them on Conversations, and Mom and I interviewed them. And so I just wanted them to pop in and say hello to everybody on the live today, because these are my dear, dear friends. So let me, without further ado, welcome David and Stacy Whited of the Flyover Conservatives. There they are. Hi, guys.
Yay!
So we're super excited because we're going to Las Vegas this week, aren't we? Or this coming weekend, huh?
We are. Can't wait to see you.
I've seen the agenda, and you guys on Thursday are doing the meet and greet thing that you always do. You know that I've never made it to one of those all the way. So I'm going to try.
We do know.
We would love for you to come.
We invite you every time. I look around. I'm like looking around.
Like,
there's General Flynn. We got all these people, but no, there's just there's a Donnie shaped hole in the middle of our party.
I need to be there. Especially when we were in Miami, I actually did try and got lost at the corral getting my way around. So what usually happens with me, though, is that I will fly in like as soon as possible beforehand, just because of my kids. I can't leave them.
Sure.
But yes, we are very excited. Oh, you got the meet and greet graphics.
No,
Look
they
at you
do.
on
They do.
I was gonna say, he's on
There's-
point
Oh
today.
yeah,
That's good.
Colton put it up there. Producer Colton.
There's a lot of
All right,
great
the
things
Colton's
going on,
awesome.
you know, before the event even starts. If you're going to the Reawaken America event in Las Vegas, obviously a lot of these will be streamed on various Rumble channels, on
Mhm.
Clay's Thrive Time channel. I think maybe yours as well. I don't know, but a lot of ways to see these. But it's kind of like almost going to the Super Bowl where there's all these activities all week long, you know, before even the game starts. It's
Yeah.
all the build up, and that day before, you know, we host a meet and greet. Our heart, when we attended the very first Reawaken America event, you know, we were in the nosebleeds. We just heard about it a few days before and went to Tulsa, Oklahoma in April of
2021.
2021,
Mhm.
and just to watch and to check it all out. And the thing I kept thinking is, this is great. We're all here and we're watching, but I would love to meet some of the speakers. Would be great, but I would love to meet more of the people that are attending.
Mhm.
You know, because you're just there taking notes on things the whole day. And so at the very next one, we partnered with Clay and we had a conversation with him, and he says, this event needs a meet and greet. We thought the same thing, and so we hosted that one in Tampa, Florida, at Rodney Howard Brown's event that they held there, and
We have ever since.
and we've been doing it ever since. Our heart is just people to get together and to network, because when the event's over, you got to go home, and it's like, hey, who are my partners? Who am I linking arms with? And so that's kind of our heart with that, is people to get together. We've had a couple of people get married because they met at some of these. So if you're single and looking to mingle, I can't promise you anything, but that is an opportunity. Then it goes straight from that into the
Pastors
for Trump.
And then are you going to be at the Loudmouth Prayer that's happening that night with, I think it's Amanda Grace, Julie Green, and Marty Grisham? Will you be there too?
Yes, this is the thing, is I didn't realize how much was going to be going on this time. And so when I saw the agenda, Clay sent it to me, I said, oh my goodness, I have to go to this. So I will be attending the meet and greet, and I'm going to see all of that. And Marty had me on yesterday. I was on Marty's show yesterday. They're going to air it today.
Oh, fun.
So it'll be airing today, my interview with him. We had a great time. I love Marty. I've always
Oh,
loved
he's such a great guy. He was on our show today.
Oh, see, we're all like linking up together. And the cool thing is, you guys were on our conversations last Saturday. So anybody, if you haven't watched it, go back to the House of Destiny and see our conversations. You'll see the list of conversations, and you'll see David and Stacey Whitehead. Now, we did put the interview up on YouTube, but we had to censor ourselves. Because you know how YouTube is, and we've been in enough trouble here at YouTube that we don't want to lose the channel. I know you guys lost yours, and so we did have to do a censored version. So for anyone who watched on YouTube, you need to go over to Rumble or go to the House of Destiny, either the app or the website, and watch the full version that's uncensored, because that was really awesome. We had a great time with you guys.
I
And
had such a great time. You and your mom are so much fun to talk to.
And it went by like that.
It went by so fast.
We had 4 or 5 things that we were going to talk about. We didn't get to any of them. Not one single item. So maybe we'll have to do a follow-up. I know you're going to be on with us soon, and we're going to talk
next
about
week, actually,
some of those things as well. You mentioned, friends were kind of like mutual admiration society, like fans, even getting ready. I was watching, before we went live, this is kind of behind the scenes, stuff for those of you watching at home. But Donna's getting ready, and she's getting her laptop she's like almost like a professional sports, how they have the people in the booth, doing play-by-play action as they go through. She's kind of doing that for herself as get my laptop open. This is
that's
here.
That's a sign of genius, by the way, when you talk to yourself.
I'm like, that's like living with this one right here. It's, she lives her life, but she steps outside of herself doing play-by-play commentary on everything she does as she does it. I'm like, this is Donna too. There's more.
I'm so glad I'm not alone. I thought I was crazy, because sometimes I like to talk through things. You know what I think it is? I think it's that we think in our mind things, but when you say something, it's clearer. So that's why I do it. Like I'm not doing it on purpose, but I'll find myself talking to myself as I'm doing things. But I think it's just because it makes it clear for me. So if I talk,
totally agree.
But
processor.
The challenge for husbands, though, she'll go from that into telling me important details that I need to know. And I'll interrupt her sometime. I'm like, is this just for you announcing to the world, or are you actually talking to me?
I'm like, no, I need you to know that.
Because she'll be in the kitchen doing that, and then she'll start telling me vital details of something, and then she'll keep going, and she'll be walking into the other room, and her head's like in the dryer, and she's still talking, giving me important information. Then later she's like, I told you yesterday we were going over there for dinner. you know. So
Oh my
I just
goodness,
like,
it's such a lot.
I'm not accountable until you like are looking me in the face and I
Yeah.
know you're talking to me, not the Lord, not just yourself, and you're not in the dryer like it's got to be right here.
But you know what? It works. It's working. Because look at how great you guys are doing. So whatever you guys are doing
Aw.
works. If you got to talk to yourself, talk to yourself.
For
Because
30
yeah,
years.
everybody. I
30
mean,
years right here.
yeah, the flyover conservatives, man. You guys, we've become very good friends, and we're also all good friends with Trey Smith. And I
Yes.
had him come up on this on our live here when we were in Miami, and everybody just was so blessed to get to see Trey. And I'm bringing that up actually because we need to be praying for Trey Smith and his wife, Julie, because her dad just had a brain aneurysm.
Oh
Mhm.
I haven't
no.
talked about it because I wasn't sure yet if they wanted me to, but I believe that they do now. I've been speaking to Julie. She does want us to be praying as many people as possible. So if as you guys are praying, everybody, please pray for Trey Smith's father-in-law and his wife Julie. There, she's had to go back to South Africa, and they've had her dad had a brain aneurysm. So we're all praying for him. He is getting better. He's been responsive and he started to open his eyes and things. And I've really had to talk her through it. But you know, and being that I went through so many similar experiences with my dad because he had 4 strokes, and so there's a whole. It's very different. It's not like having a heart attack. You know, when there's trauma to a brain, it swells, and you got to wait for swelling to come down. It's very slow to see what are we actually dealing with? What is the damage? Is he okay? You know, can he move? Can he speak? Can he understand? Like if you look at Fetterman, you guys know Fetterman, the senator.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
actually, you know, as much as I disagree with him, I feel really bad for him because I feel like he's being used because I recognized a lot of things going on with him. And because I had so much experience dealing with strokes and dealing with that recovery process, I could tell what was going on with him and even which parts of his brain were affected. For instance,
Wow.
uh, you know, with my dad, after he had the second stroke, he couldn't speak anymore because of where the bleeding happened in his brain. He had a tumor that we didn't know, but the bleeding over this region of your brain, it's called the Broca's region, and it controls what you say, but it doesn't control what you hear. There's another part of your brain that is like the intake so that you can understand information. It's further back here. It's called Wernicke's. They're named after the doctors who discovered it, I think is how it works. But remember when Fetterman was in the rehab, he was saying he couldn't understand what people were saying to him, and it sounded like wah 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 wah. Immediately, I knew, oh, it's that part of it's back here that he's got damage because
Wow.
he's not understanding. So he can speak fine, but he's not understanding. And you know, you don't think about those things if you've never dealt with something like that. You don't actually
Right.
think about it. And what I found through the course of my dad's illness and then subsequently dealing with other people who've had similar things happen is that the brain is an incredible thing, and it is actually they used to tell us, remember when you were growing up, like after a certain age you can't learn anything anymore, like it's hardwired. That's not actually true. And our brains, God is incredible, our brains can actually create new pathways when there are blocked pathways. And so they did experimentation on chimpanzees, for instance, who'd had a stroke. And what they did was they actually gave the chimpanzee a stroke to test this, but they made it so that the chimpanzee would lose movement in the right side because that's a common thing that happens. And then they would tie up his good hand and make him have to use that hand that's seemingly paralyzed, and eventually it would start. He would be able to move it again because his brain, not having another option, had to create a new pathway. And you know, that was it. Had quite the concept in itself had a profound effect on me when I was dealing with Dad being sick. But it because I understood, you know, this God has created us with such an incredible. The human body is an incredible thing, and there's so much we don't know. And you know, it's like we look at like the medical tyranny that we're dealing with the COVID, and now we don't trust our doctors and these big, you know, the Pfizers and the Modernas, like it's all money and greed, and you just and everything they're doing, this institution that's the medical institution has become so full of greed that they want to rather medicate us as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to seeking these other avenues and looking into actual really healing. And that's what they don't actually want. They don't want us healed. And so I know I kind of went around a circle there, but the point being, there is actually hope. You feel so hopeless in a situation. I mean, there must be people watching right now who've dealt with strokes and brain aneurysms and brain injury. And the cool thing is that my dad actually prophesied over and over again that there would be cures and healing and a better understanding of brain injury, Alzheimer's, autism, cancers, those kind of things. And these were things he prophesied not just once or twice, but repeatedly over and over again.
Amen.
And so when we look at the landscape of where we are right now in the world with all the things, because we all know all the things, it's quite hopeful because he saw, which is so contrary to everything we're seeing right now, but he saw victory, he saw restoration for America,
Woo!
he saw healing for all of these diseases. And so, it makes understanding faith better for me, I think is what I'm trying to say. And then again, I did do a little bit of a run around here because really we want to be praying for Trey Smith and Julie's dad, Trey Smith's father-in-law. And I wasn't actually going to say anything, but I just felt really strongly when I saw you. I thought, Trey Smith, Miami.
Yeah.
We need to
Yeah.
pray for them. We need to pray for them. So everybody, if you're looking for if you're saying, what can I pray for today? That's a very important thing. We need to really stand with them because I saw you guys with Trey Smith. And you guys had skulls all over your desk. You were interviewing him
Yes.
at Real Awakening.
He's so much fun to interview.
I'd been a fan of
I always
Trey's
wanted
for
to ask you
years
about
and years, watching his videos. He's like the teacher you always wish you would have had in high school.
Yeah.
That's just passionate and uses great examples, and
Yep.
he makes things come alive.
Yeah.
When he speaks and is so engaging. He could just, do a training about a phone book or something. It'll be fascinating because he's just so animated and has such great examples. And so he makes things come alive. I've talked to a lot of people because we've had him on as a guest now, people that weren't believers, that wasn't their lead-in thing, but he has such interesting information about history, and the Bible in the way that it comes alive, that it, like, that was the doorway that helped them really understand God, and that they have these great testimonies because he gets to them in a way that other people, hadn't. And so he's just a really powerful, I think, voice in our world today.
Yeah, we were so excited when you introduced him to us. He's a really great man.
And if he doesn't entertain you or educate you, he'll for sure freak you out.
True.
Which is great.
Sure. My dad prophesied over him when he was 16 years old on a cruise. It was a Christian cruise, and my dad and mom went. It was to Hawaii. My dad and mom went. It must have been, I think, 89, 90, 91. And we actually have a picture of them. And my mom has the little, what is it called? The necklace. What's it called? That they wear in Hawaii with the flowers? What's it called?
Yeah, the leg.
My mother had one of those on, and my dad had his 80s hair with the beard. He looked like Mel Gibson. And they were on the cruise. So we have that picture, and I didn't meet Trey until after my dad had passed away. And we met on Facebook or something, and he came and hung out with us and everything. And he ended up telling me the story, and he said the way he found out about my dad was he was 16 years old, and his mom made him go on this cruise. He did not want to go. And my dad called him out and prophesied over him. So it was so interesting that we never, ever met. He never met my dad. But all those years later, we connected, and it was really a divine connection. And we have become, he's my very good friend now. He stayed in my house, and I am good friends with his wife, Julie, because she comes from the same town my dad is from. My dad's from a very small town, like unknown little town called Utenag. It's not even called that anymore. It's got a new name now. They've renamed the town. But she's from there, and we found out that her grandfather was my dad's boss when he worked at Volkswagen.
What?
So the connection there is so like, how could that have happened? Like, we meet Trey Smith, there's enough there, and then he later, after I met him, married Julie, and we didn't really figure any of that out until earlier this year when she started telling me about her family and stuff, and I couldn't believe it. What are the odds that he marries a South African
Yeah.
girl from the same town as my father, which is an unknown, tiny, remote little African town. And then her grandfather was my dad's boss. And there was a whole story too. My dad had, he promoted my dad because of his handwriting. And my dad used to tell the story all the time about how he was working the assembly line at Volkswagen, and the phone rang and he took a message for the boss. And my dad had this incredible, I wish I had a copy of it. He had the most incredible handwriting. And so the boss, which was her grandfather, saw it and said, "Who has written this message?" And they said, "Oh, that man over there. His name's Kim Clement." He said, "He needs to be promoted. He can't work the assembly line. Promoted." And so they promoted my dad because of his handwriting.
What?
And that was her grandfather. So it's amazing how God works when he connects you with people. And things like that will be like a little bell. Like, this is a God thing. God's put you together. It was the same with Amanda
Yep.
Grace and the same with you guys, with me. Like, joining the tour, it's been, I've met so many people and they're all great, but there's certain people that God gave me a little nudge toward, and I really didn't know anybody when I showed up there. I mean, much like you guys, Clay had called me and he said, he told me who he was and what they were doing, and I kind of knew because people had been telling me, and of course the name Clark. And so, I just, okay, I'll do it. And I didn't know what to expect, but it ended up being just one of the best things that has ever happened to me, especially at that time. I was so bummed after the 2020 election.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand so much. And all I knew was my dad prophesied, "Rudy Giuliani, you were a watchman before, and though they may mock you, you will be a watchman again in this country." And because he prophesied that, I knew when Rudy popped up after that election to follow Rudy. And so all along the way,
Wow.
it's actually been a remarkable journey. And so that's why, bringing you on here in my little Friday corner, because we go live here and we're code breaking. It's very casual. I'm running around with my dry erase board. My scripture today is Isaiah 61 verse 1. We'll get to that in a bit. But we're doing this every week. But
I love it.
But the thing is, I've made sure to bring the people that I'm bringing here are the people specifically who I feel God has put me with for a reason. And you guys are definitely that. And it was like when I met you, I definitely felt like I knew you already, almost. Like it was almost like a reunion, even though I'd never met you. And so I've always felt so comfortable with you guys. And I know my mom did too, because she's new to like doing interviews, and so am I. We're new to doing the interviews and stuff. And so, I can tell by her how she's doing. It is how it's going. And she was so relaxed with you guys, and it was so great.
Yeah, we had such a good time.
It's like family. You're right. It is like you feel connected. And so the first time that we met you, the exact same thing. I just want to tell you, Danae, that even when at the beginning of the show, when you were sharing about prophetic words from your dad and the things that he said, of coming, you were just releasing hope right in that. To just on this show today, when you were sharing that, I felt so much hope, even for myself. I follow the prophetic all the time. I absolutely love the prophetic, but you releasing that and what you've been doing with your dad's words, stewarding those, bringing those back out, sharing that with us. What it is, it's a reminder that God has a plan. He's not chewing his nails. He hasn't fallen off the throne. None of these things have caught him by surprise. And he was sharing these things through your dad, some of these things a decade ago or more. And we are now seeing them come to fruition. So I just want you to know that what you're doing brings so much hope to all of us. And we're so excited about that. And you're stewarding it so well.
Oh, thank you so much, Stacey. And the same with you, both of you. I mean, it's extraordinary what God did and how it has exploded and so quickly. And when things like that happen, it's God, and you're moving in the right direction. And so thank you so much, you guys, for coming on here with me today. And
thanks for having us. We look forward to seeing you next week.
Yes.
And
on Tuesday, we're going to have you on our show,
yes,
which we're excited about. That's going to be great. You and your mom. And then we'll get to be together on Thursday. So it's going to be an amazing event.
So I just encourage people, if you're, not going to be in Las Vegas at that event live, find ways to catch it, because it is important to have hopeful, messages coming into your life, to kind of steward your own hope and faith and educate yourself and to be equipped. And I know there'd be a lot of good ideas that are easy to find, being shared on that stage in Las Vegas.
Absolutely. Everybody watching, if you cannot come to Vegas and be there with us in person, please do watch. Because you know what? I keep hearing all these rumors, and people are just other Christians, the Christians against Christian nationalists. You guys can tell people how they put the signs outside the events. I encourage everybody to not listen to rumors, but go and look for yourself,
Yep.
because
Yeah.
it is, I mean, God has been directing this. And for me, like I said before, the confirmation was when that my dad prophesied Clay Clark. He said, there's a man named Donald and a man named Clark. And I knew that name Clark. So when the phone rang, I knew it was right. And so all of the people watching right now are House of Destiny people that are watching my dad, a lot of them for many years. So they also know this. But for anybody who doesn't, I do encourage you, find a way to watch it. You can go, Rumble will be easier than YouTube. So if you're on Rumble, good for you. Go to, what is his name? I never remember the name of the channel. Thrive Time
Thrive
Show.
Time
Is it Thrive
Show.
Time Show?
Yeah.
Okay. It is Thrive Time Show on Rumble, even though I follow it and see it every day. I never remember. But go there, because it'll definitely be there. And we'll be airing stuff. And so you should be able to find it fine. But please do give it a chance. And David and Stacy are, they're hosting the meet and greet, and they're going to be presenting. And they're just all in there, man. It's so great to see them. They always have a really cool booth up, and they're interviewing people, and they really make it fun. And you guys are such an awesome addition to the whole thing, because you really are sort of one of those foundational people now, and a part of that tour in a special way. And it really is, I believe, ordained completely by God. And part of what was prophesied by my dad was that it would be a remnant of people. And it is a remnant of us running around America. Please wake up, everybody. So thanks again,
right.
you guys, for joining me. Everybody do look for the Flyover Conservatives. You'll find them on Rumble, not YouTube, because YouTube, they are communists.
True. It's true. Thank you, Donna. It
Thanks
was
for
nice to see you.
having us.
Okay, thanks, you guys. We'll see you on Tuesday where you're interviewing us, and we'll see you at the Reawaken America tour. Yay.
Yay.
Hi, guys. Okay, everybody. Wasn't that fun? Those are my dear friends, and I had to share them with you today, because we've had them over at the House of Destiny this past week, and we're going to be going on their show. My mom and I, they're going to interview us, so you must find their channel and follow them so that you can see me and Mom get interviewed where we're not in our environment, we're in theirs, and that gets very interesting. So that's that. So I told you guys. I'm gonna have a look at the comments here quickly. We've got more people that
We do have an ad.
Oh, we have an ad. Let's do that, and then we'll come back. I'll look through these comments while we do the ad.
We here at the House of Destiny are partnering with you to let our viewers, of course, know about your company. It's Beverly Hills Precious Metal. Andrew, explain how that works.
So I'll walk you through it right now. So if you go to bh-pm.com, right there on the homepage, you'll see a form that you could fill out. And that form is very important in letting us know how we can help you. So you just put in your first name, last name, email address, phone number. There's a section that says, how did you hear about us? And in there, put Kim Clement. And then there's a portion where you could write a couple of notes down on the bottom. Usually within about 24 to 48 hours, we'll contact you by phone call, and then we'll go over everything with you. This isn't a high pressure deal. We always recommend that if you feel uncomfortable, take a step back, pray about it. You will gain the answers that you need by doing that, and come back to us when you're comfortable.
And we actually played an ad. It feels so official. Hi, everyone. Okay, we're back. Do have a look at BH-PM, Beverly Hills Precious Metals. I met Andrew Sorcini on the Reawaken America tour, and we actually became friends before I even knew what he did. I didn't even know what he was doing there. But he knew a lot about gold, and my husband knows a lot about that and the exchanges and all that, so they were getting along. And then, we've hung out with him enough times that I really trust Andrew. You see the ads for the different gold things, and you're not really sure what it means. Andrew's awesome, you guys. If you're thinking about turning some of your savings or whatever into gold, which is probably not a bad idea. I am very bad with finances. Don't ask me anything about that. That's why we have Andrew. But if you're interested in doing that, we highly recommend Beverly Hills Precious Metals and Andrew Sorchini. He is the best. And you'll see Andrew, he'll be coming more on our broadcast every now and then to give us a little bit of an update. And then also, he often goes on Clay Clark's Thrive Time show and many of the other people on the Reawaken tour, because we've come to know him. So we know Andrew personally, so we know that, he's incredible. He's so different to Clay Clark. And it's funny because he's more of a reserved person. He seems like a finance person, someone who thinks about numbers and understands those things. And so it's interesting to see him with Clay Clark, who's so extroverted. The two of them together are interesting to watch. So anyway, let's get on. I'm reading your comments here. I did during the ad there. I was reading. Renee knows Andrew. There we go. Love Andrew. We do love Andrew. Thank God for Andrew Sorchini. He's going to help us with all the things that we don't understand. Well, me. I'm talking for myself, I guess. I don't understand. Hello, everybody. I'm so happy to see you on Rumble. We have Nina Rocks is back from communist New York. Oh, that makes my heart break because I love New York so much. And my favorite West Virginia mountain mama, 1776, is here. She's always on point. That is wonderful. You've arrived. Glad to see you there. And she says she's going to be watching Reawaken events on the live streams. Great. You know what happens to me is when I go to those events, I often watch from my room in the mornings, just because it can get quite crowded. I'm going in and out. So it's really cool that they do stream it live, because if you can't, especially if you're a speaker at the event, or if you're, because how David and Stacy were saying how, it's nice to meet the people who are backstage, the named people, but it's also awesome to go out and just talk to everybody that's attending, especially for me, because what happens is people will come up to me and then they'll tell me about, my dad prophesied over them and how it came to pass. I mean, I've had people weeping in my arms, just thanking me for my dad. It was such a blessing for me when I went to the first Reawaken event and realized what was happening. I mean, people were coming up to me, giving me gifts and thanking me, thanking me, but I didn't do it. My dad did it, and it was just so sort of weird for me, but it was such a blessing, because I got to, because the way we do things now, everything's online, and after COVID, there was a lot of separation and people not being in your churches and in the buildings together, but there's been this. So it's nice to be able to actually see you guys, like touch you and hug you, and so that's been a real blessing for me, because people, when they find out that I'm going to be there, then they want to come and attend the event so they can talk to me about my dad. And it's been amazing, and it really shows me how much God did through my dad, how great of an effect that had, much greater than we realized in the moment, because in those years, we didn't know. We're just going. I mean, my dad didn't stop. He was like a train, just he didn't stop, fearless. And so, blessings from Murfreesboro. You're not far from me. Oh, you mean Murfreesboro, Tennessee, Selena? Selena B40. You're not very far away from me. You must be feeling this weather then, because I'm hoping my hair, it's already falling apart. Well, this is why I was talking about the wigs. I understand why Jan Crouch did that. She didn't want to be, I mean, if you have to be on camera all
You
the time.
didn't explain it to the viewers.
Didn't I?
No. You were talking to them.
I've got to tell them. Okay, so I don't know how many of you know who Jan Crouch was. I'm sure a lot of you do. I mean, her and Paul Crouch did TBN. My dad knew them, knew Matt and Lori Crouch. I used to babysit their kids. And I was telling David and Stacy, because they know my hair problems. If we go anywhere that's humid, and I live somewhere that's humid in the summer, I live in Tennessee, my hair is just unmanageable, and it's really become the bane of my existence, because I get so tired of having to try to figure out what I'm going to do with it. And this is the problem my dad had. because it's not really straight. It's curly and it does this. And so I was saying to them, I understand now why Jan Crouch used to wear those wigs, because she didn't have to worry about her hair. Her hair's done. Then you can put your makeup on, get dressed, and put your hair on. How easy would that be? So I don't know, maybe I should get a wig. A couple. I could get whatever I feel like then. If I feel like my hair being white, I can have it white, whatever color I want. I don't know, it doesn't seem like a bad idea. And you don't have to, it doesn't have to be a deceptive thing. I can just say I'm wearing a wig because I can't do anything with my hair. So that's what's going on with that. And that's what I was talking about, is I can understand why she did that, because it does help. And many of you will see Mel K at the Reawaken America events. I'm talking a lot about Reawaken today because we're going on Thursday, so I'm getting excited. But Mel K is one of the presenters there, and I've not interviewed her yet. We're supposed to do it at some point, we just haven't yet. But I know Mel K now and her husband, and what we talk about is our hair, because she has the same kind of hair as me, and she has the same problems. So we were touring around like all last year. Every month we were in another state, and so some of them, especially during the summertime, it got really hot and humid, and we would both be, with the hat braided, and what are we gonna do? So it's been quite a journey doing this tour.
We are 36 minutes in.
I can see the women here. They're speaking about changing your hair color is easier with wigs. I mean, come on, you just be honest. I'm wearing a wig, and this is what I am today. That would make I know it would make my life easier. It's just taking the step. What does it mean? Okay, so a lot of you will see, if you are on, I don't know if they can see it on Rumble, but if you are on YouTube, you will see that we are raising money for the Maui fire relief. So I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about that today. If I talk about nothing else, it's got to be that, because it's a little bit alarming to me, the way that all played out. And the reason that Trey Smith was on my mind today is because was it 2017 or 18, the Paradise fire? You remember the fires in California, and that almost, we lived in LA area. We
I
weren't
want to
in
say
LA.
17.
We were north of LA.
I want to say 17.
I
but
feel like it
could
was
be
2017, but it might have been 2018
18.
when they said it was 5 years ago. I think it was 2018.
Yeah.
And I had met Trey Smith, and he had come to visit us and meet my mother and all this. And so we were getting to know Trey, and those fires happened. And I ended up, at the time, I drove like an SUV. I had like a big mom SUV. And I was driving through those fires with Trey Smith in the passenger seat. And he was on Facebook Live, hanging out of the window, filming. And it was so wild because everybody was evacuating. So all the cars are in a line like that. And then this side of the road was empty. And that's the side of the road me and Trey Smith were on. And he's like, go that way. And I'm like, I can't. So we did anyway. And it was so wild. Well, during those fires was the Paradise Fire, which wasn't too far from where we lived. And I remember people saying that they zapped those houses because the people living in them were some kind of underground alien. That was like the craziest conspiracy theory I heard about that, but there was something about that at the time. It never, I mean, we saw lots of fires and things, but it never left me. It sat in my spirit like, this isn't right. Same thing when I saw what happened in Hawaii. I don't know if you guys saw. Can we pull up my Twitter?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're going to mirror my Twitter today. He actually logged into my Twitter so you can go into my bookmarks. I'm letting you guys just ride it. You can just have a look at everything. Oh, shame. Somebody's given an anonymous donation of $50. Thank you so much for doing that. That will go to help in Maui. And this is the thing, though, is that we're going to be going through. Okay, he's pulled it up. He's going to be going. Hang on, let me just look at this first, then I can show you. Sorry, I got distracted. Okay. Actually, what I'm going to do is pull this down so I can see it close, because I've got the bad eyes, There we go, that's better. All right, so you could play. Can you play that? Will they hear it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, play that. That's a Fox News today. I'm not a fan of Fox anymore. They're traitors, but this is still interesting, so have a look at what he's saying here. And this was, I think this was up today. I put this in the bookmark this morning.
The reality is one of the few reporting on what's happening there. You know, that shot behind you reminds me of the beauty, the sheer $1.9 million. I think this.
I didn't realize you couldn't hear it till I saw the comments. Well, anyway, it doesn't matter because they were just talking about that the media has not been allowed in. That's the main point that I wanted you to see. But it's fine because you got to see the destruction. Now, if you scroll on my Twitter page, so you can see. I should have more video. You could just play the video and just let me talk because I want them. I don't know why did the sound not work. That's odd.
It's connected.
Yeah, that is strange. Sorry about that. The sound not working. I actually wasn't even going to use sound on these today anyway. Now, if you're scrolling there, but yeah, I can do this. Scroll a little bit more. Oh, they're not seeing it all. They're just seeing me. Oh, no, they are seeing. Okay, no, they are seeing.
It's delay.
It's a delay. Good, okay. Let's see. There's Stu Peters. I just wanted to see, do I not have, scroll up a bit or down? I just thought I had, there we go. Is that it? I had saved more and more just images. It doesn't really matter. I'm sure they've seen it on the news. You can put that off for now. So I've seen you guys are commenting here. The direct energy weapons. Now, I had a look. I've been watching this because I told you the Paradise Fire. They are saying
You want to see the drone footage?
the drone footage. Show them. That's what I wanted them to see. And you can I still be talking? Okay, put that up, and then I can keep talking to them. Okay, so you can see my Twitter. Great. I mean, look at that. Now, I lived in California, and we went through a lot of fires. There's always fires there. Really, they could clean up the forest floors a little bit. It'd probably help with that. But it gave me the same feeling, and then I started hearing the same stuff, which is when you looked, and I did look for a Paradise video earlier. I couldn't find one to show you, but I'm sure you remember. And if you don't, you can have a look at. You can look it up. Just look for the Paradise Fires, and you'll see it's very similar. It's almost like the fire is targeted to a point, targeted to a point, targeted to a point. You know, and I know, and I'm sure not everybody's heard this, that this area of Hawaii, Lahaina. Oh, that reminds me. Have you heard Jimmy Levy's song he did? Oh, it's so beautiful. I retweeted it last night. It's not called. Is it called Twitter anymore? None of it's tweeting.
X.
Well, what are you supposed to be doing then? Are you
Xing.
Xing it? No, man. Anyway, I retweeted Jimmy Levy's song he did for the people in Hawaii. The Lahaina. What did he say? I can't remember how he said it. I don't remember. But please do. You guys go and look when we're done here today. Go look for Jimmy Levy's song he did for the people of Hawaii. Oh, so anointed, so anointed. I actually retweeted. Praise God for you, Jimmy Levy. I was so affected by that song. But here's the thing. It appears that they want to be making this is the meat of it. They want to make a smart city on the island, and they want it to be Lahaina, which is very valuable property there. And the fire, yeah, someone's here, Mountain Mama, there she is. A natural fire is 1,400 degrees, and it takes 1,900 to 2,400 to melt metal. And that's what we did see in some of these images. I don't know if this one's going to show it, but man, it was. And did you guys see the dog? I was completely traumatized when I saw the dog. I'm sorry, that's not natural. What they're wanting to do, it appears, is that this is valuable land. The World Economic Forum, here they are again, pinky in the brain. They keep popping up. These lunatics. I mean, this is what if this is look. It wasn't natural. I'm sorry. I can't. It's a lie. I can't look at you and tell you that was natural. We must no. And now the governor is coming out and saying, "Oh, we've got plans for the rebuilding of Lahaina." Of course they do.
So quickly.
Very quickly. And I mean, so things are not. The reason I'm bringing this to everybody's attention today is not just to say, there's a pattern here. The same characters are involved, and innocent lives have been lost in a most I mean, this is a terrible, terrible thing for human beings, children. And then Joe Biden to come out and just his first reaction. I mean, he said a few things yesterday, whatever. It was 5 days later. He comes out, and the first time he's asked about it, he laughs and said no comment. And so this is really a reflection on, you would think people would feel bad for things, or you think they'd have some kind of a conscience, and it is appearing that the infiltration of the enemy into the minds and souls of these people is again, like my dad said, the greed, the greed. And it all comes down to greed. And Oprah buying I know about Oprah, what she's up to. There is and Bezos from Amazon, and even Zuckerberg. I think Zuckerberg owns more of the island than the government or something. So they're going to start with their little schemes and plans. It is tyranny. Pompeii, yes. Yes, it looked, that is a great, who said that? Of course, it's my friend, West Virginia Mountain Mama, man. She gets it every time. That's right. That is right. It looked like Pompeii. And when you see the dog, I thought I had it, but I guess I don't. You see the dog. I mean, the dog is burned mid-stride with its mouth open. Like, what did that? That's frightening. And I'm not meaning to frighten anybody. I'm not scared. I'm just saying that the thought of this and what happened there, and the fact that what he was saying in the Fox clip that you guys couldn't hear, what he was saying in there was that they're not allowing the media in. That it's a no media zone, is what he said. And he was he said he with Fox was the only mainstream media outlet at the time there. I think that was a couple of days ago now, but. Why would they keep the media away? Thank you. Someone has anonymously donated on YouTube $20. Thank you so much. What we're trying to do with our Maui fire, really, we should call it Lahaina fire. What is Maui, isn't it? I don't know. I've never been to Hawaii, so I don't know what island is what and what's called what. Yes, we need to be praying against evil. That is correct. And they passed a bill in Hawaii that they will not be able to develop land unless it was ravaged under natural disaster. And of course, here comes the natural disaster. And it's, I'm sure they have some fires there, but you have to think about this is an island.
So they
There's
pass a
water
law.
everywhere. Did you see the guy that is in control of the water there in Hawaii? And he's saying, well, our native people, we worship the water, so we don't want to be using it to put out fires and saving lives. We're just going to worship, something like that. I'm probably exaggerating a little bit on what he said because I don't remember.
Well, wait, I have a question.
Yes.
So they passed a law
Mhm.
that it can only happen during
A natural disaster.
Then a natural disaster happens, and now there are plans already passed by the city or the island to build.
To rebuild Lahaina.
That's quicker than
To make
people trying to
a
build
globalist AI run a smart city.
That's quicker than if you want to add on to your house.
These people are in a rush. You know why they're in a rush? Because they know Donald Trump's going to win that election and they're going to lose everything. So they are scramble as fast as they can. And what is happening is outrageous and it is cruel. Man, I'm so tired of being angry. I'm so angry about this. I'm really upset about this that, we're actually running out of time. I was going to go through my top 10. Throw the top 10 up quickly. Let's go through that quick. And the scripture verse. I was a little thrown off because I brought my guests on before I shared my scripture verse. There was a reason I wanted to share this. So let's read this and then we'll do the scripture verse and we'll be done for today. Oh, and you guys, I've got something to ask everybody before I do this. Keep that up though, it's fine. We are thinking about moving this live broadcast to Sundays.
Same time, different.
How do you guys feel about us doing this on a Sunday? Would it inhibit you? You can answer in the comments. Would it inhibit you from being able to watch if it was on a Sunday? I'm saying that because on Friday, I started doing this live on a Friday because I thought, oh, it's the end of the week. And we can go through news and we can look at things and whatever prophecies. And then Monday I would have put up a prophetic rewind, so that gives everybody the week to catch up on what I put up there. By the way, if you haven't watched, the last 2 weeks, I've put up on Prophetic Rewind on the House of Destiny Network, and that's every Monday. I've put up my dad teaching on prophetic prayer. So normally I'm putting prophecies up there. But I really felt like this was a time for everybody to really, this is a prayer time for sure. And so we want to be, as we are a prophetic people, we want to be praying prophetically. And my dad taught so well on that and understanding the gifts of the Spirit, prophecy being one of those gifts that we all can prophesy. We may not be Kim Clement. We may not be in the office of and doing, something because to whom much is given, much is required. So I don't think even I wouldn't ask for the burden of releasing some of the information that has to be released. You have to truly be anointed to do some of those big things. But we are all prophetic. We can all talk to God. We can all hear from God. And we are the warriors. That this is what my dad saw. This is what we are. So understanding praying prophetically is very important. And nobody could teach that better than my dad. He was the creme de la creme of prayer warriors. My dad, I don't know anybody I've never met a person who prayed like my dad. And it wasn't a show, or it was the way he understood it. He really did. And so if you haven't been watching Prophetic Rewind, go there. You can go to the House of Destiny Network, and you can go to the House of Destiny Network and look for Prophetic Rewind, and the last two, so the most recent two, are him teaching on prophetic prayer. And if you haven't watched it, I do encourage you to go and look at that. It's really going to feed your soul. And it's really going to help right now. We're being equipped. We have to arm ourselves because we are in a spiritual battle. We must be arming ourselves. Put on the full armor of God, and we're ready to go. And understanding that weakness and sin are an opening for the enemy to attack you. And so that's why we put on the full armor of God, and that's why we live the way we live. Because any weakness is going to be used against you by the enemy. And so do watch that, because you will be equipped and understanding in a deeper level the prophetic and what it means to pray prophetically. And of course, my dad was just brilliant at presenting that. So I'm going to look now to see, because I've given you a minute, do we think we can do this on a Sunday instead of a Friday? And that wouldn't mess with anybody, because you guys have been loyal. You've been coming back every Friday, even when I had all those. We lost so many people when we had the internet issues, and I kept getting knocked off and delays and strange things happening. So that's why I've been coming here until I can build a studio in my own house. Really, it's just not going to take too much to do that in my house. I have a basement area that we're working on right now. We're going to drywall it. And then after that, I will be able to come to you from my home again. And I want to be able to do that because there's stuff at home that I want to be able to share with you that I couldn't do from here. For instance, I have a dog named Fred, and you guys need to see him. My children may pop in and out, sometimes my brothers and sisters. And so it is nice to be at home, because then I can share those moments with you. And I really want these times together to be casual, relaxed. I want it to feel like you've come over and you're hanging out with me, and we're code breaking, or we're talking about things, or we're looking at the Bible, whatever happens. So let's see. Some of you are saying you go to church. You see, that's why we traditionally don't do things on Sundays, because my dad always wanted people to actually physically go to church if they could. Some people can't, and so we made a space, online for those who can't. But if you can, it is very important to, like I said about the Reawaken America tour, to be with people This is great, and this is the best way I can reach you guys. So this is the best we can do here. Another way is you come to the Reawaken America tours or somewhere that I am, and we can see each other. But you must be, you must have what a church can give you that you walk into. Like for me, I have Pastor Greg Locke, 30 minutes away from here, and if I need that, I can go there. I can be prayed out over. I can, that's someone who can look me in my eyes and you need to have that. You need to have that support, and that's why we have church. So this is why. Oh, who said that about Roger Stone? Larry. Who's Roger Stone's little minion? Not me. No. Someone else.
You got to read
Does my dog have a friend named Barney? No, but I have another dog who's a French bulldog named Gumbo, and that's his friend. They do fight over food sometimes. I've started feeding them separately because one does this, and then, my dog Fred is a 200-pound bull mastiff. Wish we had a picture of him to show. He's a 200-pound bull mastiff, and he is just the cutest, most adorable dog. He's just enormous. And then I have a little dog who's a French bulldog named Gumbo, and he's very badly behaved. I'm very good at training dogs. I'm better with dealing with big dogs and can be very hands-on with a big dog. But the first little dog I ever got, and he is untrainable. He is so badly behaved, but he is so adorable. He's the cutest little thing. Anyway, that's Fred's friend for A.H. Drummond who was asking.
Let's do the top 10 before you can't read it on the screen.
Do we have time?
You can do.
Let me have a
10.
quick look and see that.
Or we can go to your dad's prayer at the tower.
We could do that maybe. We could. Now let's read the scripture verse. That's what's
Okay.
open on my phone, and this is the most important today. How much time do we have? Oh no, I'm gonna have to do it next week. I've got something for you. Let's not forget. I wanted to play them Roger Teal's prophecy over me because he quotes the scripture verse.
Okay.
And the reason I'm using the scripture verse is because a very good friend of mine, who we both know and love, quoted this verse to me yesterday in a message we were talking about. A good friend of mine, she's a very prophetic lady, and she's just a dear friend, quoted this verse to me, and I said to her, that's the verse that Roger Teal prophesied over me. And I'll play that for you next week because we don't have time. But here we go. Isaiah 61, verse 1, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he has anointed me to preach good tidings to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to those who are bound, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord, and the day of vengeance of our God, to comfort all who mourn, to console those who mourn in Zion, to give them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they may be called trees of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that he may be glorified. Ooh! That is powerful. And you know what? I was prophesied over. I never get prophesied over. You would think all the years with my dad that I might have gotten prophesied over quite often, but I did not. I think people might have been a little intimidated of my dad, so they held back or maybe God just didn't have anything to say to me until later on. But I was in that environment, though. I mean, it was there wasn't too much he needed to tell me. I was picking it up. I was right there in the middle of all of it. But a couple of times I have been prophesied over. There were a few things that happened after my dad passed away. My cousin Lou, who's here with me, his grandfather, who's my great uncle, not long before he died, came to the House of Destiny when I still lived in California, and he prayed over me and anointed me. It was a very powerful thing that happened there. I wept on that stage, and when I looked down, a pool of my tears was on the stage. And Mark Sharona also was another one who came in and prophesied over me. He's an incredible man, brilliant mind, anointed, and I was so grateful for some of these people after my dad died because I was our whole family were in a terrible state. But God brought certain words to me, and that was the scripture verse that he brought to me through the prophet Roger Teal, who was the prophet who prophesied over my dad. when he was very young. I was a baby. And I met Roger because God gave me his name. It was so wild, the story. I was praying in my little prayer garden when I lived in California, in Simi Valley. I had a little area I would pray in. And I was praying, and I heard his name, and I did not remember him because he prophesied over my parents when I was a baby. And I'd heard his name in my life, but I didn't even know he was, or remember who he was, or that he was a prophet or anything. And I heard his name while I was praying. And I said to my cousin Lou, who was sitting with me, who had walked in, and I said, "Who is Roger Teal again?" I forgot. And he said, "Oh, he's that prophet. Remember he prophesied over your dad." Oh, prophesied over my dad, that's right. So next thing, our aunt calls, our Aunt Wendy, who's also a pastor from South Africa. She's in California. She calls him, and she says, "Oh, I've got Roger Teal with me." And I'm thinking, huh? And he says, "Roger Teal's with Wendy, and they're here in California." Couldn't believe it. I said, "Oh, okay." Well, I came to find out later that Roger Teal had not been to California for 15, maybe 20 years. And when God said his name to me in my prayer garden, he was driving down a freeway not 30 minutes away from me for the first time in 15 or 20 years. So he hears from my Aunt Wendy that I heard his name while praying, and he says, "I got to meet her. I need to meet her." So she brings him to our studio in California. I said, "If I've got this guy here, I'm interviewing him." So I set up to interview him. I walk in the front of the building. He walked in the back of the building, and we met each other in the middle. We shook hands. He's saying hello to everybody. Very tall man, old Scottish man. And he's wearing a black leather hat and a black trench coat. And he's got that long finger. And he says to me, we walk in, it was just everything. God did all of that. Yeah. It was all God. It is so incredible. We walk and we meet each other. He's the prophet that prophesied over my dad. My dad's just died. I'm in this terrible state. I shake his hand. We say hello. He's saying hello. He looks at me and he said, "I'm here, da 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 da." And he says, "But I'm here for you." And I'm shaking. And my mother even gets intimidated. So I said, "Okay, well, can I interview?" He said, "Okay, all right, we can do that." He's not very interested in being on camera. He's very different, very unusual. So I'm nervous now. I put him on the stage with me. I'm sitting across from him, and I start to interview him. And by the end of the interview, he grabbed my arm, and he didn't hurt me, but he grabbed my arm and twisted it. And he looked me in my eyes. He says, "God says, will I have to twist your arm?" And he started just prophesying over me. And he prophesied, in the middle of the prophecy, he quoted this verse. And I think about it. And what it makes me realize is this verse is talking about what we are dealing with. Those who are bounded and blind. And it's a mass of people. How does it? See, the verse he quoted was this is New King James. That's why it sounds so nice, like so modern. We need to go to the old way, because when he prophesies, he speaks like, and he's got the Scottish accent, and he's very direct, very different to my dad. But the prophetic is the same. The feeling is the same, because it's God. You're feeling God. So it'll feel the same. Like I've said of Amanda Grace. When I met Amanda Grace, it felt like my dad. But obviously, she's nothing like my dad. She's a woman. She's my age. She's Italian. She's, you know what I mean? She's completely different. But I felt the same thing. And so I realized what I'm feeling is God. I'm feeling God. I'm recognizing God in these people and how he's working through them. So it was the same feeling, but a different presentation. And you'll find that prophetic people are strange. Like, for instance, Mark Sharona. I don't know if you guys know him. I'll look here to give you a second to answer if you do. If you don't, you should. Go find Mark Sharona. He's in Florida. He wears 2 watches. And he always has these bright, he has his way of, it's completely unique. It's completely him. It's completely different from my dad. And then, of course, you guys know my dad. Totally unique. He's singing through prophecy. He's got the long hair. He's this wild person. So when you start to look at that, it really shows you that who you are is really important to that expression and to God, because the place we find ourselves in, for instance, communism, and what we're seeing them do, they put us in boxes. You're in a box of race, you're in a box of gender, you're in a box of religion, you're in a box of whatever, whatever they can come up with. And what happens there is that no matter how many boxes you make or how small it is, what will exist in that box, and not all these surface things that we don't control. We don't control what gender we are. We don't control what race we come out as. We don't control those things. You have to remember that. So these boxes are based on surface things that are not who we are. It's who our body is. It's the body we were put in for the purpose. And the individual expression is then lost. And that's what happened at Babel, at the Tower of Babel. If you read that story, now I don't believe Babel was actually a building. I think it was a portal. But we're going to conspiracy. Don't worry about that. The point being, the same spirit is there. So the way you would recognize God, you can recognize that spirit again. So you can go back and you can read the story of Babel and you're going to feel the same. I hope I'm making sense. And it's very, very important to allow yourself to be you, especially if you are a prophetic person. Because it can get tricky. And I've seen that, there's been certain people, there's a guy, a minister who used to sit down at a piano to prophesy, even though he couldn't play the piano, because my dad did that. Now, I don't think he's doing anything wrong per se, because imitation in that way is a very pure form of flattery. I'm sure you've heard that saying before. It's Amanda's birthday, is it? If it's Amanda's birthday, I better wish her. I will. Thank you for telling me that. But the point I'm making is, you see what the enemy's plans are, and it would be to box us and categorize us based on the flesh. Whereas God wants the individual expression of each and every one of us. So your prophetic expression will be you, God through you. And that's what he wants. And you know what, if you have to go along the way, because sometimes when you're learning something, you do need to do a little bit of imitating to figure out your footing, and that's okay. I'm not coming down on it. And even that man who would sit at the piano and he couldn't play, he was trying to find his door. He was trying to find his way through. So it's okay. But I do want everyone to remember that before we go today, that your uniqueness is what's needed. You and your unique expression is what God wants to use. And so if you feel down about yourself, if you don't feel good about yourself, always remember that you were created unique for a reason. Otherwise, he would have made us all the same if he wanted us to all be the same. He made us, each single person. And the intricacy of that and the beauty of that in his creation is just a wonderful thing. And so I'm going to leave you with that today. West Virginia Mountain Mama agrees about the Tower of Babel being a portal. Now just think about it. You guys think about that, because I have to go. And tomorrow is Amanda Grace's birthday, so I will be calling my friend. I haven't talked to her in a couple weeks. We've both been busy. But I was retweeting her yesterday because she was giving her testimony, so great. And she was wearing the purple mantle that I put on her. And that was my dad's. And God told me to do that at the very beginning of this year when the Reawaken Tour came to Nashville. And she was here near where I live. And I put it on her, one on her and one on her husband. And I don't do that ever, but I really felt to do that. And
The comments were asking, will the Sunday be at the same time?
That's up to you. Should I do it at the same? Because like I said, I don't want it to interfere with church, with anybody's church.
It's
time.
kind of difficult because of the time zone differences.
It is.
So 12:30 is good for most people, and then
Is it?
rewatch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I could do this at a 12:30 on a Sunday, and that leads me to something else. Next week I won't be here on Friday because I'm going to be in Las Vegas doing the Reawaken America tour. I actually might be speaking on Friday, although I think I need to look again. He'll change me back and forth sometimes, so I'm not sure which day yet. I'll have to look at that, but I will not be with you guys next Friday. What I'm going to do, since it will be difficult to go live, I've tried that before and I end up in a hotel room. I don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is film myself while I'm there, and I'll do a vlog, a video blog, a vlog. And I will vlog my experiences. So as I'm meeting people, I might pop on the camera and have them say hi. And the next Sunday, we will just I won't be live because I'll be traveling home. So we'll just upload that next Sunday before we leave to fly home, and then you guys can watch my whole weekend.
We'll premiere it.
We will premiere it. That's how we'll do that. So you guys can watch next Sunday. We'll premiere it, and I would have filmed all weekend my adventures in Las Vegas with the Reawaken America tour. Roseanne Barr is going to be there. If I meet her, I'll ask to get on camera and say hi. I'll see if I can do that. And I'll definitely be able to maybe get some comments from Roger Stone and General Flynn, definitely Clay Clark. So we'll try to do that. It'll be a little more rough because I'm going to film with my phone, but it'll be great. And so we will have something for you next week. It just won't be Friday. It'll be Sunday. And then I may start doing these after next week on Sundays. And so if you don't see me next Friday or you start seeing this, where is she? I'm on a Sunday. And you will get a notification. If you have not, go to the channel if you're watching Rumble or YouTube, or maybe you're watching this later on the Code Breakers. But if you're on Rumble or YouTube, do put your notification on.
The notification bell.
The notification button. So you may be subscribed, but hit the notification. It's a bell, isn't it?
Yes, notification bell.
Hit the notification bell, and
like this video. It helps with the
and like
algorithm.
the videos. I don't know about all these things. I'm slowly figuring it all out and trying to remember to tell you. But like the videos
Share
the videos and put your notification bell on, because then next week, whenever that video goes up and premieres, you'll get a notification, and then you'll start seeing when I'm live. You will also see notifications for Christy. She might go. Christy Desfontaine does our Israel Update channel every Friday. Also, that's another reason I kind of feel like we're lumping too much in on a Friday, and you guys need to be hearing from Christy about Israel, and so we don't want it to be too much. I think it'll balance out a little better if we do this on a Sunday. I'll just do the same.
Because she'll be going live sparingly, but Israel Update does go live on a Friday.
Friday is the Israel Update channel day, and we want to keep it that way. So, and it gives me a couple of extra days too in the future for news as well, because then I might get a little bit more stuff, and then maybe prophecy it's intertwined, which is what we're trying to do here. Really, is code breaking, looking at Dad's prophecies, and then I'm of course talking to you about all the stuff. So okay, we've done it. I think we're finished today. Some people are saying more than once a week. I could once. Let me get the studio set up. It's going to take a little bit of work to set up a home studio for myself. But once I'm at home, I definitely can do this more. Like if something breaks on the news, then I will go running.
Yeah.
If I have my studio space at home, I'll go running down there. I'll stick on my computer and talk to you guys. So that's why you need the notification bell. Don't forget to do that. Okay, I'm rambling on now. I do love you all. Have a look for all the live streaming of the Reawaken America Tour event in Las Vegas. It will be Thursday, Friday, and Saturday this week. Thursday, you guys saw the Flyover Conservatives in the beginning. They're hosting a meet and greet. And then Marty Grisham's doing, what's it called? I can never remember. Not loud prayer. What's the name of it? Anyway, you'll see Marty. Look for Marty Grisham. He does the prayer stuff. And he had me on his show. We filmed it yesterday. It's airing today. So you can look for that too. If you go look for Marty, you'll see me again. And then we had a great conversation, me and Marty, yesterday. He just couldn't air it till today. So look for that. But the Thursday night. And then they're also doing on Thursday night the Pastors for Trump.
Loudmouth prayer.
Loudmouth prayer. That's it. Marty Grisham with Loudmouth prayer. And then the Flyover Conservatives are doing the meet and greet. And then they're having the Pastors for Trump. And that's Roger Stone, my friend. And Jackson Lawmeyer is also going to be there, and we're featuring Jackson Lawmeyer this month at the House of Destiny. So every Wednesday, if you haven't seen it, you can go back to our midweek broadcasts, the House of Destiny online church. We have it every Wednesday, and we have been featuring Pastor Jackson Lawmeyer all month. So 4 Wednesdays, him teaching on the book of Revelation. Oh, it is powerful. And he is a powerful. I mean, you guys saw him last week or the week before he was here on this with us. So Jackson's on there. Jackson's going to be there Thursday with Roger Stone and General Flynn and all of them doing Pastors for Trump. So Thursday night's going to be great. And then the Reawaken event starts Friday. It is all day into the night. And then on Saturday, the same all day into the night. And Roseanne Barr is going to be there, as well as Alex Jones. And so I'm really wanting to meet Alex Jones. I hope that happens. Because, man, I've been watching Alex Jones since he was at Bohemian Grove, years ago. And we've been listening to him since then. So Nina Rocks loves the Wednesday show. I know the Wednesday's good. That's a church service. That's what we do in the middle of the week. Okay, everybody. Okay, I'm not going to get too pulled into these comments because now people are talking about portals and I'm very interested. Okay, we'll do that. We'll pick this up, you guys. But again, look for Reawaken this weekend. Look for my mom and I on the Flyover Conservatives. They're going to interview us on the 22nd, which is Tuesday, I think. And then look for me today on Loudmouth Prayer with Marty Grisham. I was on there. And yeah, that's it. Okay, and then, of course, tomorrow... Mom, I can't believe I forgot. I cannot forget this. Tomorrow, go and watch Current Events on our Saturday broadcast. My mother I hardly had to even talk. You guys are going to see. If you go watch this, it'll be up tomorrow, midnight tonight. It will be streaming at the House of Destiny. It is Current Events with my mother, Jane Clement, and she put together a pretty incredible little study there. And again, I didn't have to hardly say a word. She had the whole thing put together, and it was incredible. We filmed it yesterday. It will be up tomorrow. So that's all my announcements. Again, we have a promo code at MyPillow. If you didn't, that was the other thing.
I've got an ad.
Mike Lindell, no, he did the election thing. Do you have an ad for that? He did the election thing. It's not called the symposium because when we interviewed him, he corrected me. But he's presenting proof, and I think today is a big day with that. I'm going to actually try to pull this up before we go, just so I can make sure you guys see it. I don't know if I'm losing people. I've been rambling on. I just don't want anybody to miss out on anything, and if it's recorded, they can always come back and look. I just want to make sure I get the website right here.
I'm going to pull it up.
Do you think if I played Jimmy's song, we would get it?
Yeah, no, we can't.
What if I asked him? What if he... I'm just looking here to see. I thought I had saved it. I guess I didn't.
There we go. I'll put it up on the screen.
But it's not on the screen.
You won't see it.
But it is there.
Mm-hmm.
Let me look. What is the name of the website? That's what they need to know.
Lindell Election Summit.
Lindell Election Summit.
On frankspeech.com or lindell.com. lindellevent.com.
Is it 2 L's?
Yes. lindellevent.com.
And then Frank Speech.
And frankspeech.com. 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Central.
And that's today. And he's making a big announcement today, which is why I'm telling you guys it's so important.
That was the 16th and 17th.
No. Today he's doing something.
He's doing something else?
Something's happening today.
Oh.
So if you haven't, I don't know if they can see.
Yes, I will.
Oh, you've got the thing up.
Yeah.
Okay, it's the Lindell Election Summit, and it's lindellevent.com or frankspeech.com. I would go there today and have a look because he's presenting more proof and evidence on what happened with that election. So I would recommend you have a look. Okay, we're done for the day. And I'll see you guys not next Friday, next Sunday. And I won't be live, but you will get to watch what I did. My weekend in Vegas with the Reawaken America tour. I'm sure we're going to get into some kind of trouble. So it'll be very fun. It's good trouble, so it'll be fun. All right, everybody, I do love you. I'm praying for all of you. Remember Isaiah 61, verse 1. That was our scripture verse today. And those who are bound and blinded is who we are called to. It is to them that we are called. So as angry as they make us, we have to be Christians. We have to forgive them, and we've got to wake them up. So let's keep doing that. And I'll see you guys next week.
My name is Jane Clement, and I am the president of the House of Destiny Network.
My name is Donna Clement Petrushka, and I am the Vice President of the House of Destiny Network. My dad used to have a thing called $5 in your face offering. And he did that because he understood that sometimes people might be sitting there saying, well, I only have a little bit to give. But I often use the analogy of a car engine. You know, everybody feels like maybe they're not too important, or maybe their little part they're playing is small, or what can I do as I see these things going on around me? And you may think that that's a little bit, but it's a huge amount when we come together and support one another. And so just as little as $5 can help us with our missions. It can help us with just keeping these prophecies, all these prophecies that came through my dad, coming to you. And it takes quite a bit to be able to find it and edit it and present it. And so there's a whole staff of people that work very, very hard to make sure that we can get this information to you. And it is vital in this season because of what was prophesied. And so, again, you may feel that $5 is not much, but it's something. And then you are a part of something and a part of doing something where you may feel like it's, you know, there's nothing you can do. There is something you can do. You can support the people who God has put at the front lines, who are actively making a difference.
I first met Kim in 1978. The price of gold back then was $200 an ounce. Today, it's gone up to $2,000 an ounce.
I can tell you inflation is a real thing because in a very short period of time, just living in the state of Tennessee, I had moved from California. I could see the difference when I moved here, just in the grocery store, and since 2020, the way prices have risen, it's not much different than when I lived in California now.
To schedule a consultation with Beverly Hills Precious Metals, go to bh-pm.com and make an appointment today.
One thing about Mike Lindell, and this is going back to many, many years, we like to support people like him because, number one, he's a Christian in the marketplace, which is something that my dad not only prophesied a lot about, but really truly believed in. And so for many years, our ministry has supported Mike Lindell for being a Christian, but also supporting one another. It makes us stronger against those big tech people who are backed by billions of dollars, that together we can make a difference and get a message out there.
By using the promo code Kim Clement, you're not only supporting Mike Lindell, but you're also helping us reach the unreachable, touch the untouchable, and reach the world with the gospel.
This was sacred to God.
Now is the time to act.
This is exactly why I need some action from my people.
Hello, everybody. It's an honor to be with you.